I'm just going to speak about how to start building Android applications using processing, which should be an environment that everyone's used to. Basically, recently, in the last 6 months or so, I guess, what's been released is the Android version of processing. So what you can do is go to this tab here, and you've got JavaScript version as well, which I actually think is just, I'm pretty sure it's just processing.js that they just stuck in there. But yeah, so you can switch to your Android mode, and if you've got an Android phone, you can literally just plug in your Android phone and get developing. What I've done today is just build this example project. It didn't take too long to build, but I just wanted to put in some basic things that will help you get started and make it more interesting for you. Okay. I don't like it. Looks like I'm not going to be recording the desktop, but I've got a camera up there. So. Right. Yeah. So what I was going to do is just quickly go through this project and show you the differences between doing it with normal processing and doing it with Android processing. So at the top, you have all your imports like usual. What I've imported here is some stuff from the Android API, which is going to help us play sound, the media package there, play sound, and then we've got our window manager as well, which basically at the moment stops things from crashing in Android for processing, which is quite useful. Then we've also got the RS bundle as well, which I can't quite remember what it's for at the moment, but I'll probably find out in a second. As I go down here, I just want to show you a few differences. Like for example, go to setup, you'll see that you now have an orientation method, which allows you to set or force an orientation on the application you're building. So if you wanted a portrait, you can set it to portrait. If you wanted landscape, you can set it to landscape. You also have to import an accelerometer manager here as well, which is this class here. You can actually find this in the examples. So if you go to File and then go to the examples, it has an accelerometer manager example there, which just has a little application which shows text of the X, Y, and Z acceleration. So that's worth looking at, and that will really help you to understand exactly what you can do with the accelerometer. So this is the accelerometer manager class here. There's a whole load of it you never need to look at, but the basic parts you'll need are a few different methods which come with it, which is the resume for shake events, which can be useful, and your acceleration event, which is required really. What I've actually done here is made a few global variables, AX, AY, and AZ, which I've defined up there. And right, let me plug in this cable. What I'm going to do is just show you this application I've built, so you can see what exactly is going on here. Because at the moment there's probably a few methods in here that you saw that you were like, what's that do? Like for example, this detect collision. What collision am I detecting? You know. So I'll just show you the application so that you can see what to expect. Marco, how did we switch to that again? Okay, so I'm hoping the sound here is going to work. I built this application last night, and it should be fine. It's just a little funny demo, but it shows you audio and how to access the accelerometer. Well, the project shows you how to access the accelerometer. Call it a cat screw. I'm hoping the sound will work. Apparently not. Didn't talk about it. Try the other audio.
Maybe the audio Sorry guys.
No, it can't. Can you show it on your laptop?
I mean, I can just unplug it, and then hopefully I can do it through this. Can you hear that music? Can you hear that?
Yeah, we can do that without microphone.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. So what on this application I've made, I've got the cat's positions based upon the accelerometer. Got a nice fading background there. The main thing I want to show you on this is the fact that I've got music running on it, and you can get sounds running on it as well. Yeah, so it's not really too hard. I'll show you the code for it now, so you can see what's going on. You can actually download the game off the Android market, submit it to the market last night as well, just to make sure that my tutorial actually works. Okay, so back to the code. What I've done here, I've just got this method which I'm calling draw, which pushes and pops the matrix where the image mode is changed to center. It translates the X and Y position of the cat and then rotates the cat in a circle. And I've created this image here called Kitty. Okay, so that's how the cat's spinning basically. Now the X, Y and Y position is adding and minusing the AX and the AY. If I was to do a print line on AX and AY, it would change based upon the way I'm tilting the phone. So if I was tilting it downwards, the Y would be weaker. If I was tilting upwards, the Y would be stronger. Left or right, the X would be weaker or stronger. The reason why I'm minusing the AX is because for some reason the X acceleration is reversed in processing, which if you do play around with it, you'll figure that out very soon. It's kind of like where you play a game and someone's been playing it with the reverse, what do you call it, invert. They've got it on inverted and you get really annoyed because no one plays it on inverted. Yeah. Anyway, if I just show you the sample, this actually was quite hard to get hold of because no one's really, well, some people have, but not many people have actually bothered putting sound into processing to Android because they've only used it for visual stuff. So what I've had to do here is make a quick example of it. This needs to be called in setup. That's to start up or to create a new sample and a new media player. You've got two different systems in the Android API. You've got your media player and your sample. Sample is for sounds and media player is just for music. I'm not quite sure why one works differently to the other. You can technically make them work the same, but I'm guessing samples better for smaller files, whereas media player would be better for longer files. So best thing to do is try and stick to that. What you have to do is just change a few of these bits here. It'll be quite obvious what you have to change. Just follow it from the top downwards and you'll figure out what you need to put in if you want to put in more music. So for example, I've just got game music here, but you can see I've commented out a sound for a ringing sound as well. All the bits to add sound I've commented out. If I show you how it's called from this code here. Right, in setup, you only have to call it once to play music using this method music play, which is it's quite easy really. If you want to play something, you just call it and it will play it. And it's the same with sounds as well. If you want a sound to play, you call it once and it will play the sound. Let's go to draw, I believe. Where did I put draw? That's it. Oh, isn't it? Oh yeah, of course. But I don't have sounds play method called here because I'm not using it at the moment. But I'll show you that method too. So in sound play, you have a sound key, which is just an integer really. And if you've called that integer, if you've put that integer in when you're calling the method sounds play, it will call that sound. And it's that simple really in processing. It's quite straightforward. So that's pretty much the code. That shows you everything you need to know. There is a few differences, and I'll actually just show you the PDF guide just so you can see them. But what I really want to talk about is how to get your computer set up for it first. So the first thing to do will be to install the Java SDK, which I assume most of you would have installed by now because you've been working with Eclipse. And what I've suggested here is to install it to a sensible directory. Something quite important, which I've actually skipped, which is bugged here, is that everything you install should be in 32-bit version. And so even if you've got a 64-bit operating system, just install the 32-bit version, because what you'll find is when you're compiling Android applications, if you've got one thing that's 32-bit and one bit that's 64-bit, let's say you've got Apache Ant installed and it's a 64-bit version, whereas you've got your Java SDK that's a 32-bit version, it just won't work. It will just get confused and it just won't work. Another thing to remember is that you want version 6, update 30 or 31, as opposed to version 7. The reason why is because there's some compilation errors with version 7 because it just can't figure out, for some reason it can't figure out what's going on there. It might be that processing is outdated or I don't know. It's...
I think processing tends to be the versions behind.
Yeah. So stick to a couple of versions behind. Until it comes out in the Google Code notes of processing that they've upgraded to version 7, it's best to stick to version 6, update 31. Okay, so next step is your phone drivers or emulators. Phone driver or emulator. Phone drivers or emulator. You can download the emulator, which is the AVD, the Android AVD, which you should be able to get from the Android SDK. When you download the Android SDK, the AVD will come with it. And it's a screenshot of the Sdk Manager, which is something else you'll have to install. This is actually really important. What you need to do is just get hold of a few of these. You don't need it all the way down to 1.5 and 1.6 anymore, because not many phones have that, and any application you make for processing is not going to work on a phone that's got 1.5 or 1.6. So you'll want to stick to downloading the top ones, because they do take quite a while to download. And you'll want to be using API 15, and any application you make, you want to make sure that it's compatible with API 8 and above. That's kind of around the standard it should be now. Anything below that you shouldn't have to worry about. Okay, so on this I've got a link to the Android Sdk Manager. And you want to remember to install it again to a sensible directory such as Android SDK, so it makes it easier later on when you have to set up your environmental variables, which I'll go on to now. So this is where you can download Apache Ant. You get a zip folder like this, and again you want to put that in a sensible directory. I've just saved it to a C drive and in the Ant folder. And in the next step, setting your environmental variables. This bit's actually really annoying because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and you have to play around with it and throw back and forth. And you might actually have to go into your command line and check that it's all working as well. You will have to do that, because if it doesn't work, you won't be able to compile your Android application. And if you're using the advanced version of processing, it doesn't come with Java, so you will have to. You definitely have to make sure that your Java compilers are working. Okay, so if all of that works, it'll be successful. You'll actually enjoy following this guide if you go through it. It's quite good. It's got a few links to some interesting places as well. Something else I want to mention as well. I mean, a lot of people who use processing don't really realise how much work's been put into it. But if you go onto the Google code for processing and look at all the changes, I've got a few very cool changes here that I thought were pretty cool. You know. The latest version is actually 2.0, alpha version 4, and that's actually not released yet. It's only on Google Code. Apparently, it's still on 1.6 on the website. Is that right? Yeah. Processing 1.6. But I use the alpha version because it's just got all these awesome changes, which I like to play with. So, in the latest version, they have fixed the they fixed the Android/code/build.xml to point at the correct SDK version. Actually, there was a big problem with that, and you couldn't compile things correctly when you were building Android applications. They've also changed between the 32 and 64-bit mode on OS X, which wasn't properly reloading for the library path, and it should now. Which made it very hard for people to compile Android applications on their Macs. And I don't know about the libraries fix yet. If anyone wants to have a play of that and see what they can find out about that, but it says they fix the libraries when using it with Android. And libraries can also be specified in Android versions and included in the Android subfolder, which I really haven't played with yet. I haven't seen many people play with it, but again, it is the alpha version, so it hasn't been released on their website. Okay, and so, there's a lot of these great changes. I don't want to go on about changes too much. The best thing to do is just go and check it yourself, check all the issues that have come up and all the changes that have been made to fix them. Okay, so at this point, you guys have probably already got processing on zips. What you want to do is check that you've got this alpha version or the latest version, so that when you are developing your Android applications, you're developing it to the most recent version of processing you can, because of all these great changes that have happened. Okay, so we've already gone through this step. We've already looked at the application, the Android application. So I don't really need to talk about that. So we'll just skip this bit. One thing you want to take a note is that this is the website you can go to get hold of the PDF and all the project files from the example project that I built. I don't think you'll find anywhere else that actually has the accelerometer in use and music and sounds in use in an example project, because it just hasn't been released on the processing website. You could search through the processing forums and you'll find some cool examples there, but they haven't. The examples aren't implemented in a project on them, so it's probably the only place you can get at the moment. So it's worth looking at. Okay. Already told you about the Sdk Manager example, and I've already told you about the orientation and sounds and the sounds initialization in the sample video. So I don't need to talk about that. So what we'll go straight on to creating a key. These are important steps that are kind of hard to find information on the internet for. So what you need to do is this whole section here is a quote from a website called Techority. So just want to let you know that if you think I might have stolen it, it kind of is. But yeah, it's from Techority. There was no point in me rewriting it because it was written so well. So what you need to do to create a key. Basically, a key is used to sign your applications. If you create an Android application, if you want to submit it to the Android market, you need to sign it with a key. Kind of like signing a certificate or signing a contract, kind of. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. I'll open command prompt. So what you want to do is open the terminal and you type in key tool, gen key, but I need to actually get the key tool as well now. And then key store. And then you want to create a application name. So whatever your application is called. So the one that I just showed you is called a cat string. So let's create a new key store called a cat string. The best thing to do really is to have a single key for your application. Of course, it's just preference, but from my experience, it makes it a lot easier just to keep with a single key for all your application releases. You want to make sure that no one else gets hold of that, because it will have your secret passwords stored within it, and you don't want people getting that really, because then, well, they could pirate your application, which isn't good, and I think they can view the source code through it as well, so that's not nice. Okay, anyway, I'll continue. Then you need to enter an alias, so I'm just going to say my name, because that's easier, keyalg RSA, so that's the algorithm type. and key size we want to put at 2048. If you want to know more about all of these commands, you can Google it really. It's not important for submitting to the market that much really, as long as it's valid. Okay, so we'll press enter. They ask for a key store password, sorry. So I'm going to put my password. Re-enter that password. First name and last name. Name of my organisational unit. Put my website. Name of organisation, website. Name of the city, London. State, province, which is put UK. Select country code UK. Is this correct? Yes, looks pretty correct to me. Give it a second. And there we go. It's generated the key. Now it asks me to enter the password one last time. And re-enter the new password. And the key store. Oh, it had an error. But that's pretty much, there's not enough space in the disk. Oh, there we go. That's pretty much how it works anyway. I think it's actually Cam Studio that's done that, so what I'll do is I'll just close that. Seems to have drained up all my disk space. Okay, so we'll go back to this. That's how you do it anyway. So you generate that key, you get a your app name.keystore file saved to the directory in which you ran the key tool generator. The next thing we need to be thinking about is releasing the application to the market. So I'm going to assume that you've already created this application now. You've got your key store file and you now want to release that application to the market. And what you need to do is go into Android manifest.xml. So we're going to my sketch folder. And we've got the Android manifest.xml file here. I use Notepad++, but you can use any text edit you want. Notepad++ will actually really help you edit this so that you don't make any mistakes. Now there's a few bits you want to change here. The first is the version code and the version name. For example, you've already released it to the market and you've already released a version 1.0. The Android market will not let you overwrite that 1.0 version you've released. You'll have to release 1.01, for example, and then the version code will then be 2. So the version code is the amount of times you've released that application, and the version number is a representation of what version you are releasing. So the other thing you'll probably want to be changing, I'm going to show you on here as well, which isn't in that example, is your package name. So in processing at the moment, it basically has a default package name which says please.change.thispackage.name, something like that. That's the package name, the default package name there. So you'll have to change that package name, and I changed it to org.longcat.game, because this example here is actually from the Android manifest I'm using for the Longcat game. And you can see here I've actually forced the orientation in the Android manifest as well as in the application. The reason for that is because when I built Longcat the game, it used there was an error in processing where if you turned your screen, it would just quit the game. So you had to force it in the Android manifest to get around that. But this is pretty much what it looks like. Pretty simple. As long as you make sure that's alright, you'll be fine. You also want to check the SDK that it's using. Make sure you have set it to version 8, because that's basically the version of the Android SDK that you're using. Make sure you set that to 7 or 8. You don't want to have it at 15, because that means anyone with a phone below that is going to have experience issues, and it's not going to work for them. So if you want lots of people to use your application, keep it somewhere in the middle, 7 or 8. Okay. So going past that, after exporting it to an Android project, you do get that XML file. You've got a bunch of folders in your Android, in the Android export. So we'll go to here, it will show you it's got all of these folders here. The next step is Once you've got that, you go to command prompt. Let me open new command prompt so you can see it better. And then you want to change your directory to the directory at which your Android project is in. And then you want to type ant release. So it builds the application, the APK for you. It's the unsigned APK. So the next part would be to sign it. Again, the build failed, but that doesn't matter because I've got an example built in there just in case that did happen. So I've got an unsigned version here. The next bit to do is to change the directory again to the bin directory within that, and then you've got your unsigned application here, and you want to just type in jar signer, which is the tool you'll be using. In fact, I'll show you on here so you know what to expect. Yeah, so we've done that release there. This bit here. And we've built the application. And, skip to the next step, sorry. Okay, here we go. So you want to type this in basically. Can you see that, or is that too small? Everyone read that? Yeah, okay, cool. So you want to be using the jar signer tool. And what you're doing, you're basically storing the key to the application. So you type in jar signer, lowercase, and then key store. And then the release key that we built earlier, that we'll go to here. This is the one I'm actually using for the game, the longcat release key dot key store. We're going to copy that. And I'm just going to paste them here. So I've got the main right there. And then what you want to do is copy and paste the link to your unsigned application that you've just built in here. So you get this link, copy that. Actually, I think the full link, sorry. Rename, copy it, and then where we go? Oops. Sorry. There you go. And then you want to put in the alias which you wrote for your secret key, and then it asks for passphrase. Then it tries to do all of that. So it's worked successfully because it hasn't come up with any errors, and it's just signed it all. So you can see it signs your icons, it signs the Android manifest which you created earlier, and any